Are you all ready? This is going to be the Noob's Guide to explaining what is proof of stake, why does it matter for Ethereum, and what happens to mining with proof of stake, and is everything just going to be okay? So let's just jump into it. So talking about Ethereum, Ethereum is just one of those coins. You either love it or you hate it, and some really hate it. But whether it's your cup of crypto or not, it's hard to deny that Ethereum was one of the main drivers behind the mining booms we repeatedly saw during the last 12 months and earlier. It was simply one of the most popular coins that could be mined with consumer graphics cards, and usually the most profitable. Heck, it kind of still is the most profitable one depending on what hardware you have sweating it out in the mines. I'd argue that it alone did more to bring new miners into the crypto market than most of the other altcoins combined. Or at least that's what my totally real, super legit, not made up sources tell me. While that could obviously be seen as a good or a bad thing depending on which side of the fence that you just want to hippity hop on, the fact is that a lot of miners made quite the pretty penny mining Ethereum and hope to continue doing so if one day profitability stops being a poopy sad face. Unfortunately, that day may never come. That's right, the time of profitably mining Ethereum or mining it at all could well be coming to an end sometime soon. And no, we're not talking about Bitmain's new Ethash Antminer E3. The machine is certainly looking mighty tempting to buy with a hash rate of 180 megahashes per second and an 800 watt power draw and only costing $800. But by the time they actually start shipping out to customers around the 16th of July, there's a possibility that they'll be obsolete, and also they're just completely stupid, as I mentioned in this video right over here. So just like when ASIC machines for the Crypto Night algorithm were first unveiled and coins like Monero vowed to fork them off of the network, which is basically switching up algorithms so that the machine can't mine it anymore, there's a good chance that Ethereum could do the same with the Antminer E3s. But there's a bigger threat not only to ASIC miners hoping to tackle Ethereum, but also to pretty much everyone hoping to continue to mine Ethereum with their graphics cards, or anything else for that matter. It's the dreaded POS switch, so let's talk about it. What is proof of stake? For those of you not in the know, that scary little acronym POS stands for proof of stake, and it's not the delicious kind of steak that you get at Ruth's Chris. It's phenomenally technical and super important. Not that steak isn't important, it definitely is. Steak is the best. I could go for a juicy steak right now. Where were we? Proof of stake, yes. Now, currently, cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and various others like the aforementioned Monero and even Big Daddy Bitcoin use the proof of work, or POW method, for validating transactions, providing security to the network, and supporting said crypto or blockchain network. This system is why miners get paid. Miners provide these services and in return get rewarded with some coin for their efforts. But mining isn't the only way to provide said services. You don't have to take a graphics card and run it at 100% to actually validate the blockchain for Ethereum. So the proof of stake algorithm, without getting too technical about it, essentially fulfills the same purpose as mining. It also validates, secures, and supports the system and creates new blocks to add to the blockchain, but it does this in a vastly different way. Instead of using huge computational power and a butt ton of electricity to solve complex puzzles, or hashing, which is what, when we say mega hash, that's what we're talking about, so that keeps everything running smoothly. The proof of stake consensus algorithm works around, quote, a set of validators that take turns proposing and voting on the next block. As Vitalik Buterin, co-founder and king of Ethereum, and a few others explain in a proof of stake frequently asked questions. The FAQ also states that, quote, the weight of each validator's vote depends on the size of its deposit, also known as their stake. So here's a general breakdown of the process as stated in the FAQ. Quote, in general, a proof of stake algorithm looks as follows. The blockchain keeps track of a set of validators, and anyone who holds the blockchain's base cryptocurrency, in Ethereum's case, Ether, can become a validator by sending a special type of transaction that locks up their Ether into a deposit. The process of creating and agreeing to new blocks is done through a consensus algorithm that all current validators can participate in. If you're still not quite following, all of that basically means, this is the Noob's Guide right now, that people can set aside a set amount of Ether, after which they're able to vote on which block will be added to the blockchain. And much like in mining, participants are rewarded with some coin. A far more in-depth explanation is available on the aforementioned FAQ, so if you're interested in learning more, you should definitely check it out and do your own research. Links in the description. So is proof of stake better than proof of work? Now that we have a general idea of what proof of stake is, you're proving your stake, you're saying, I'm staking this amount of ether to go towards that, you're proving it. Now let's take a look at a few benefits it has over the proof of work system, where it's just like, I prove that I've done my job, I sweated in the mines, let's go on my graphics card. That's a terrible graphics card accent. I shouldn't be so insensitive. We won't be going over all of the different technical details in detail, but here's a quick TLDR. Because the POS system, proof of stake, doesn't rely on mining with expensive and power-hungry hardware to secure the network, it's a far cheaper and energy efficient way of doing things. And because it's the much cheaper option, quote, there is not as much need to issue as many new coins in order to motivate participants to keep participating in the network, end quote, which reduces supply over time and presumably bolsters the price of the coins. Proof of stake, because it's more versatile, also makes it easier to deal with and discourage, quote, centralized cartels that might want to mess with the network. POS is also expected to scale far better than POW, meaning that transactions will be processed faster. And lastly, taking control of a POS secured network could potentially be vastly more expensive to carry out than proof of work, because with proof of work, you just need to have a majority of the actual work, whereas with proof of stake, you would have to actually control a majority of the ether itself. Sounds like a pretty good deal on paper, right? Well, some would vehemently disagree, and not just the miners who currently make most of their profit from Ethereum. The biggest issue with the POS system, according to Wikipedia at least, is, quote, the nothing at stake problem. This problem essentially means that in a POS network, there's incentive for people to cheat the blockchain in order to maximize profits. Though over on the Ethereum POS FAQ, they mention a few ways to prevent this from happening or to heavily penalize those who participate in said cheating. Others, like the author of Bit's online article on the subject, have a few additional concerns with the POS proposal. Those primarily being inflation and centralization. The author states that mining keeps inflation in check by various means, including difficulty increases, and that POS solutions don't really have a similar system in place. The author said, quote, this completely destroys any market source monetary rules that keep supply in check. As a result, even with a total supply cap, supply shocks will plague a POS-based monetary system, leaving no room for stability and making it hard to have reliable economic growth. End quote. The author also believes that in a POS system, whoever has the most money has the most influence over a vote, meaning that, quote, a small group of wealthy stakers can control the entire network, voting on changes that benefit them, even at the cost of the rest of the network. But whether or not you welcome the shift to POS or not, it's almost definitely going to happen for the Ethereum network. So here's Ethereum's proposal. The rumor that Ethereum will switch to the POS algorithm has long since lost its rumor status, as it's already been added to Ethereum's technical roadmap. And according to CoinDesk, co-founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, said in response to a question about forking ASICs off of the algorithm that he's, quote, not convinced it's worth expending resources caring too much, except to push faster on Casper. Casper being the name given to the shifting of Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake. So a full proposal for the first stage of Casper's implementation can currently be found on GitHub. On the page, it's explained that in this initial stage, Ethereum will transition from a pure proof of work to a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. It's then stated that in this scheme, all of the proof of work mechanics will continue to exist, albeit with a reduced block reward of 0.6 Ethereum. But additional proof of stake mechanisms will be added. That reduced block reward of around 3 to 0.6 is nothing to scoff at, as it means mining Ethereum will become around 80% less profitable. For a full breakdown of the Casper system and how it works, be sure to check out its introduction paper on GitHub, links in the description. It seems like the switch to a full proof of stake will be done in stages, the one we just looked at being the first. So we're going to get an 80% cut in Ethereum mining straight away. Eventually, it's planned to switch Ethereum over to a proof of stake system entirely, and when or if that happens, a lower block reward will be the least of Ethereum miners' worries. But the question is, but when? While there's tons of speculation and buzz surrounding the whole thing, we still don't have any sort of confirmed timeline on when anything we looked at will actually be implemented. Heck, we don't even know 100% for sure whether any of this will go down, even though that's what most signs are pointing at. While Casper, or at least FFG Casper, the first implementation of Casper, is already in the very early testing phases according to trust nodes, it's only been implemented in 1 or 2 clients as far as we are aware, most prominent being Ethereum or Ethereum. According to the site, summer might be optimistic, autumn, perhaps winter, hopefully, but maybe Q1 2019 would be safer to say. The site also states, however, that the development team could be moving far faster and that they've done that before. The threat of ASICs could also have a hand in the system being implemented at scale a fair bit sooner, but Buterin has previously estimated it in late 2018 or so. So the short answer of when is no one knows, probably not even the development team. What's the deal with Ethereum? Okay, so proof of stake is a bad acronym if you're a miner. Nothing shocking there. We've known that ever since rumors first started surfacing about Ethereum going proof of stake. But what does it mean for Ethereum as a whole? Well, from where we're standing, the big switch to POS, if implemented correctly and overcomes the various issues associated with, could be a very positive one for Ethereum. More security, faster transactions, and many of the other benefits associated with it could make Ethereum a much more solid coin and much more solid blockchain technology than it already is. That, along with the fact that in order to stake and vote on blocks, you essentially have to hodl your coins, and it could provide some much needed price stability too for the second largest cryptocurrency that's out there, because we all know that Bitcoin has no stability. On the other hand, because miners are essentially booted out of the equation, demand for the coin could likely drop in the short term, and if the new system ends up having some game-breaking bugs or flaws that really damage the network, it could be disastrous. But that's all stuff we can only speculate on for now. What does this mean for everyone else? Ethereum's switch to proof of stake could mark the start of a major shift in the crypto world. If the system works out well, there's little reason to think other currencies won't adopt a similar one of their own. And in doing so, we could see the eradication of one of mining and cryptocurrency's biggest issues, that being the monumental amount of electricity currently needed to keep them going. And that's something we're sure everyone can get behind. We just hope that it doesn't come at the cost of decentralization and egalitarianism, especially since there has been suggestion by Big V, Vitalik, that in order to procure a stake in Ethereum, you'll need at least 1,000 coins to bank initially, which at current market value could be anywhere from $400,000 or, when it was at its all-time high, $1.3 million. So decentralization and egalitarianism kind of being two major cornerstones of cryptocurrencies and all, this doesn't necessarily seem like it could promote that. If you need $500,000 to $1 million to even stake in the first place, the rich keep getting richer and the poor man is left out once again. And I'm not sure where this is gonna go. I hope that explanation of proof of stake wasn't too technical. Obviously, there's a lot to take in. TLDR, proof of stake means that you can prove that you hold this much, and how much you hold is what determines the vote, versus what currently is voting, which is proof of work, is how hard you can swing your pickaxe. So it basically becomes like a financial game versus a worker's game. And to some extent, I don't know. What do you think? Does it seem like the bourgeoisie are getting to take over again? Let me know what your thoughts are, either down in our community Discord, which is going to be the top link in the video description, or down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about Ethereum, proof of stake. Is there anything we missed? Anything that we left out? Something that you think is super important that we should have said that we didn't? Let me know either one of those two places. Be sure to smash that like button if you thought this was helpful and you appreciate more of the deep dives into different concepts. We hope that this could provide some insight for you. Be sure to get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content, which includes stuff like daily deals and news that's coming out, and not just proof of stake in-depth talking. So yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Because I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. I forgot to say that, but that's who I am.